defensive guard in the NBA. When Michael wants to get down and stop, you get no easy shots, and so far Perez understands that.
Diaz trying the three. The Cubans have been hoisting three-pointers. Here's Barkley. Larry Bird with the outlet, and Barkley was hit on the reach-in.
Larry Bird on the defensive boards right now is a man possessed. I mean, he is going after every defensive rebound, spreading bodies, and then he just outlets the ball about a 45-foot hook pass to Barkley on the move.
Perhaps a little traveling music for Charles, but he was hit on the reach-in by Perez. Charles Barkley telling us earlier how much he enjoyed the week of practice, getting on everybody's case. He has emerged as the team comedian, and we'll be hearing from Charles a bit later on. He has been serious, though, about his basketball. That is now Charles Barkley of the Phoenix Suns. This is Perez, guarded by Jordan. Abreu being played by Bird. Diaz, yes, Jose Diaz, who has been on Cuba's national team the last 2 years. He hit the three-pointer in the final seconds last night to come up with that victory over Canada. USA with a 10-5 lead. That won't count. And the foul is called against Cuba. It's on Perez. That's his second.
Chuck Daly and the staff have had an opportunity to put very few set plays in. They have 2 or 3 from the half-court offense, a couple options in the transition, and they know who their go-to guys are, and each of these players has the ability one-on-one to get a basket.
Now Cuba to the offense, led by Perez, throws the three up, and rebounded by Jordan.
Perez may have realized that may be his best opportunity to get an open look in transition.
Magic with the pass that misfired. Jordan with the behind-the-back save. Here's Bird. Yes.
And you just knew that Larry Bird was not going to miss that shot after the great save by Michael Jordan.
United States with a 12-5 lead. 4 minutes have gone by. For the U.S., it is their debut in the Tournament of Americans. Nice move by Yudit Abreu. And the United States with a 12-7 advantage. Pretty good. Barkley able to finish it off.
And you can see the United States team really pushing the basketball back at Cuba. The Cuban team practiced at 8 a.m. yesterday morning, played at 8 p.m. Yesterday evening, back again at 12 noon here in Portland to play the U.S. team. The United States making them pay the price by running the floor both ways hard.
Burrell. And Bird again with the rebound. Lazaro Burrell last night against Canada got in early foul trouble, then came on strong in the second half. Bird is wide open. That's a shot, as other international competition will certainly learn. You just cannot give that to, I would say, most of the members of the U.S. squad, but particularly Larry Bird. That's a short-range three for Bird.
Well, let's go back a few moments ago to an outstanding effort by Michael Jordan. First of all, just getting to this basketball, then trying to save it, and then saving it with a behind-the-back pass to Larry Bird, who you know he's going to make the shot once he gets the opportunity.
Nice fake by Perez. Leonardo Perez, who had 22 points last night on the win over the Canadian team, 20 of his 22 coming in the second half. United States with a 17-9 lead. Jordan guarded by Diaz.
And the Cuban team now switching into a zone defense, getting out of the man-to-man. This is one of the things that the U.S. team has worked out and worked against.
Another pretty feed from Magic Johnson. David Robinson has 4 points, and the U.S. with a 19-9 lead. Abreu threw a pass to himself. That's a discontinue.
Their first look at the zone defense. U.S. goes into their zone attack, and nothing easier than finding David Robinson down on the low block for a deuce.
Magic Johnson making his return to the court following his dramatic All-Star Game appearance in Orlando, taking most valuable player honors, and now back for the Olympics after sitting it out following the disclosure that he was HIV positive, and has looked sharp here at the start. It's a 4-on-2. Perez for the pull-up, and rebounded Jordan. Oh, a bullet from Magic to Barkley.
They have so many interchangeable parts. That time, the defensive rebound by Michael Jordan, who basically, Jordan so far, just trying to shut out Perez defensively and get 1 or 2 rebounds, has done very little offensively, but he triggered the fast break with the outlet pass.
Abreu. And rebounded by Johnson. Barkley from Bird. Barkley on the move.
And that time, the defensive rebounder was Magic Johnson, who starts the break with the outlet pass. Barkley finishing once again.
The United States with a 23-9 lead. Gilbert went to the hook. Johnson sweeps the boards. Magic for Barkley. United States 25, Cuba 9. And Chuck Daly getting set to make some substitutions. Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Chris Mullin will check in. Barkley has 12 points in this first half. And Barkley fires for Robinson. David Robinson will go to the line. He was hit by Andres Gilbert.
Well, Magic Johnson can either make it a spectacular pass with a cross-court diagonal look to Charles Barkley with the dunk for a finish, or he can make it very simple. Keep the ball as long as possible to the last second, make the defense commit, and then just drop it off for another deuce. It counts the same on the scoreboard either way.
And the crowd reacts to the play of the starting unit. Stockton, Mullin, and Pippen have checked in. Malone will enter in a moment. David Robinson to the foul line.
With that starting unit for the United States team, you have so much flexibility because Larry Bird, as we know, is a great defensive rebounder. We know Robinson runs the floor so well, so Chuck Daly can let Robinson take off and be the first big man down the floor, let Jordan and Barkley fill the lanes on the outside, and then you got Bird, a great three-point shooter, trailing at the end, so it gives you all kinds of options to do offensively in transition.
And Cuba has also made wholesale changes. Barkley remaining on the floor. He's the high man with 12 points. Angel Caballero with the ball now, being guarded by Scottie Pippen. Ball fumble by Richard Matienzo. Mullin got a piece of it. Caballero trying to save it. And he's fouled by Pippen. And now Clyde Drexler to the scorer's table, and he will hear it as he enters. A standing ovation for the hometown favorite, Clyde Drexler of the Portland Trailblazers, replacing Charles Barkley. 5-second violation. Inbounds violation. Apparently Chuck Daly wanted Clyde to check in all by himself to hear the applause from the crowd. Malone was fouled. He was fouled by Burrell. That is his first.
Number 6. Felix Morales.
Well, they changed the call. Felix Morales picks up the foul. Felix Morales is 39 years old. He's been on the national team since back in 1974. There he is. Represented Cuba in the Olympics in 1976 and 1980. Played in the Pan American Games in 75 and 79, and did a good job last night. Instrumental in the comeback against Canada.
The left-hander got a few big buckets for him, some big rebounds, and a couple big defensive plays, particularly with block shots.
Burrell guarded by Mullin. That's Morales with the ball. Puts the move on Karl Malone. Felix Morales hitting on the turnaround. United States 27, Cuba 11.
Now, this group on the floor for the United States team, if you think about it, has really 4 people who at different times for their squads during the regular season act almost as point guards. Tremendous passing ability, a high skill level.
Foul was committed by Morales. Timeout has been taken. 11:42 remaining in the first half. United States with
more to this than meets the eye. He wanted to be the best he could be coming in to start practice.
Shot clock down to 10. Malone was rejected. Mullin for 3. And the foul called on the United States. The U.S. squad now with Stockton and Drexler in the backcourt. Mullen, Malone, and Pippen up front. Karl Malone is called for the pushing foul. The United States 27 and Cuba 11. It is the debut for the U.S. Olympic team. They had a week of practice in La Jolla, California. Broke camp with much praise for the college developmental squad that scrimmaged against them. Foul on Drexler. The Collegians providing a wake-up call with a win over the NBA Stars the very first day, but the Olympians came back very strong. They won by 40 points the next 2 days. NBA players, though, had much praise for the Collegians. Stockton with that near steal. The air ball handled by Malone. And here's Pippen on a 3-on-1, finding Stockton off to Drexler. Yes, and it counts.
You talk about perfect decision-making. The ball is outletted to Pippen, who we know can lead a fast break and finish as well as anyone. But he realizes that Stockton, the best in the league at having an assist, is out in front. And Stockton knows that he's playing in Portland, and Drexler's got a chance to score. They all make the right decisions.
You know, back to the scrimmages against the college players, most of the NBA players came away praising Chris Webber. They were so impressed. Also, according to the NBA guys, Bobby Hurley of Duke removed any doubts as to whether he can play in the NBA.
The pressure of the U.S. defense. Pippen up in the passing lane. You're just not going to get an easy pass, entry pass either way.
However, the United States throws it right back on the turnover, and Caballero was blocked. Angel Caballero blocked by John Stockton.
You were saying Hurley, any doubt erased about Hurley?
Yes, the NBA players were extremely impressed.
They felt that each one of those guys that played on that developmental squad is going to have a terrific career down the road in the future in the NBA. They all played very, very well. Put together only 2 or 3 days prior to the U.S. team coming in. They had worked, practiced, and prepared the things that Chuck Daly and his staff asked them to be ready with. Zone defense, 3-point shots especially.
United States with possession following a 3-second violation. Karl Malone with his first field goal. United States with a 32-11 lead.
And due to the injury to Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone is actually playing the center position for this second unit of the United States team, with Pippen and Mullen playing the forward spots.
Malone diving for it, but knocked it out of bounds, and Karl hears it from the crowd. There's Patrick Ewing, who suffered a dislocated thumb, jamming his right thumb against the rim during practice this past week. Went up for a shot that was blocked by Malone. The thumb will remain in a splint. He'll miss at least the first 3 games of this tournament. Forced shot thrown up by Machadel, and last touched by the United States. Even if Ewing misses the entire tournament, it's expected that he'll be ready for Barcelona. Machadel with a 3-point field goal. Alberto Machadel, 28-year-old backcourt man, a member of the national team in Cuba since back in 1983. And a reach-in foul call against Cuba. Let's go over to Ahmad for number 4.
All right, Marv, as we were looking at Patrick Ewing a little bit earlier, when he hurt that thumb, he said that it really gave his chance for his ankle to heal a little bit better, because his ankle was still hurt from the playoffs. He was one of the guys that showed up down in La Jolla with a bucket of ice, carrying it around, soaking his ankle at every single opportunity. So this bad luck, I guess, turns out into a little bit of good luck for his ankle. Marv?
Arnemon and Chuck Daly said that for the Tournament of the Americas, not concerned about the backup center position, even though David Robinson is making it back from that surgically repaired thumb. As you mentioned, Mikey, is Karl Malone at the center position, and also will go with Christian Laettner at center.
And Laettner has really played very, very well in the practices for the United States team. First of all, you don't realize that he's taller than you might think he is. He's a very big player, and Minnesota got themselves an outstanding prospect in Laettner.
Christian Laettner, number 1 draft pick, 3rd selection overall of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mullen deflected it out. And you see right at the start the unselfish play here by the United States team. Earlier in the week during practice, they were actually guilty of overpassing, trying so hard to do the right thing. This is Perez who made his return. Fast break, Drexler by himself. United States 36 and Cuba 14, just under 9 minutes left in the first half.
Well, I think Scottie Pippen said it best. He said there is nothing for us to prove individually on this team. The only thing for us to do is win a gold medal and do it collectively as a team. And there's no question that's what they're setting out to do. Share the basketball.
Mullen, yes. Chris Mullen of the Golden State Warriors able to finish off the break 38-14. The United States on top. Morales guarded by Malone. Richard Matienzo, 6'7" forward, one of Cuba's top rebounders. Stockton with the look away, finding Pippen. United States 40 and Cuba 16.
A couple times Cuba has tried to change defenses, go from man-to-man over to the zone and zone back to man-to-man, but when you catch them in between, that's what's going to happen with Stockton out there.
Juan Caballero. And the United States leads 40-18. Mullen for three, yes. Chris Mullen, a member of the 1984 gold medal winning team in Los Angeles, has had the hot hand. He now has 7 points.
Again, the understanding. Drexler with the open shot, a short three-pointer, instead gives it up to Mullen, a better perimeter shooter.
And it's Richard Matienzo. United States 43 and Cuba 20. United States right back to the court here tomorrow night. They will play Canada. Tuesday they go up against Panama. Here's Malone, and he is fouled.
If you see the United States team moving the basketball, that comes from practice. In practice, Chuck Daly yesterday would yell out the number of passes they had to throw against the zone defense before he expected a shot to go up. And with runners like Drexler getting out in front, points will come easy for the United States.
This is a story about two of the best.
Against him for another few years, might have told him it was the smart thing to do. Stockton on the break, finding Pippen, and it's a charging foul. Scottie Pippen is called for the personal, and he is shaken up.
And when he looked up at Karl Malone, not a lip reader, but I think he said to Karl, did I miss the shot? He was concentrating so hard on making the basket that he was wondering if he at least got the bucket in, but it rolled off the rim.
Substitution for the Cuban team, Lazo Negrin about to check in. The hand for Juan Caballero, who was injured in that collision. Caballero involved in the collision with Scottie Pippen.
Chuck Daly can't believe that an offensive foul was called that time.
The ball goes back to the United States. 6:40 remaining in this first half. United States leading by the score 45-20. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, Quinn Buckner from the Coliseum in Portland. Stockton with an open three. And back comes Cuba in the red and white. Rojas. Eliezer Rojas. USA with a 45-22 advantage. Karl Malone is now operating at center. Pippen able to save it at the timeline. Malone off a double team. And Pippen able to get to it. Knocked out of bounds by Caballero.
You know, the biggest decision for John Stockton is which player do I want to pick out that's most open. Once he puts it on the floor and dribble penetrates, he's got 2 or 3 people open each time.
Drexler penetrating, yes. And it counts. That time, Stockton found Drexler.
Well, if you're going to play a zone, the idea is to try and force the teams to shoot from the outside. But when you let dribble penetration like this take place, then you're really not accomplishing very much defensively.
The foul on Felix Morales, and that is his fourth personal. Drexler with another three-point play. The United States 48 and Cuba 22. Cuba finished fourth in the Pan American Games last summer. They are the youngest team in this tournament. The United States, incidentally, is the second oldest behind Brazil. The U.S. average age is 29. Stockton called for the foul. That's his second. And Richard Matienzo checks back in for Cuba, replacing Felix Morales. So Morales departs after collecting his fourth foul. And now the starting unit for the U.S. about to check back in. How'd you like to be Miguel Calderon, the Cuban coach? You're down 48-22, and now you look at the starters along with Christian Laettner, who will come on for the first time.
Well, let's talk about the coach for a second. He was appointed just 8 months ago, took this team on a tour of the U.S., 0-11 against our collegiate teams, but they played some very good ones, Michigan State, UNLV. It's the camaraderie that's developed between this group. And some of them are just getting to really know some of these other guys on a personal level for the first time because they're isolated so much during the course of the regular season that they're able to share some personal time, which they really appreciate and enjoy.
Magic Johnson telling us earlier he didn't realize that Patrick Ewing had such a sense of humor because whenever he sees him on the court, he has that the look, the game face. And a pushing foul is called as Laettner received the ball along the baseline. Rojas called for the foul. Now, I have not personally heard any of Patrick's one-liners, but Magic assures me they're knee slappers.
How would you like to be a not yet rookie in the NBA, almost there, and you get your first assignment on the floor, and the coach tells you, okay, go out there with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Larry Bird, and be the fifth guy on that unit. Not bad, huh?
Laettner has reacted well. He's been very well liked over the course of the week of practice. Christian, man who helped lead Duke to 2 straight NCAA championships, the College Player of the Year, and getting his first minutes of the game. United States with a 50-22 lead. Jose Diaz with the step. And Laettner goes down. It's kept alive by Rojas. And he turns it over. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, I was talking to Michael Jordan about Christian Laettner. He said not only does this guy have tremendous range as a shooter, but also a tough mental set, and he also feels that Christian is a very knowledgeable basketball player, having played at Duke. He said that's what's going to take him a long way in the NBA, his knowledge of the game.
All right, the Cubans back to the offense. Matienzo was hacked.
If you're wondering why the Cuban team is able to ball fake and get inside the U.S. defense as often as they have, a couple reasons. One, the United States understands that they have the shot blocking ability to change or block shots close to the rim. Secondly, Chuck Daly has placed such an emphasis on getting out and guarding the three-point line that as soon as the ball comes up above the shoulder and it's a look at the rim, our guys are running down people to make them put it on the floor.
First appearance at the free throw line for Cuba. Coming up at halftime, the Kraft Halftime Report with Bob Costas, and Bob will visit with the mailman Carl Malone to talk about the Dream Team. Bird shaking off the three. Jordan from downtown. Barkley missed on the tip. Also at halftime, we'll catch you up on the Olympic qualifying tournament in Europe. Coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this first half, and the United States leading by the count of 50-24. Laettner from Johnson. Yes, and it counts. Another assist from Magic Johnson.
Well, you have a 6'9" point guard looking through this porous defense of Cuba, and then you find the guy in Laettner who has great hands and the ability to convert down low inside. The last trip down the floor for the United States team, prior one to this one, was the first time they faced the half-court trap that the Cuban team uses occasionally. They used it last night against Canada. It was effective in changing the tempo of the game in the second half, and that time, the first time they used it against the United States.
High man of the game is Charles Barkley with 12. Magic Johnson with 6 assists. Machadel, guarded by Jordan. This is Rojas, played by Barkley. Shot clock at 5. Here's Diaz for 3. And Laettner off the boards. Laettner. Barkley on the follow.
Defense is contagious. I have not seen Charles Barkley get down and defend this well and this hard over a sustained period of time in quite a few years, to be honest with you. But when you're around other people working that hard, it happens.
Well, Diaz trying to go behind the back, trying to split through, and he's called for the traveling violation. 9th turnover for Cuba. United States with only 3. They have pitched a shutout in this first half. They lead 55-24. 3 minutes remaining of the half. Bird again passing on the 3. Laettner for Barkley. And he is fouled. Foul called on Matienzo.
That last time, Christian Laettner normally would have taken that shot from the deep right-hand corner. He was wide open. There wasn't a defender within 7 or 8 feet, but that's the sharing the basketball attitude that this team has right now. He gives it up to another U.S. player hoping for a better shot. They wind up with Barkley down low in the paint, now going to the free throw line.
Charles Barkley, you'll recall, was cut during the Olympic trials back in 1984, a team coached by Bobby Knight, but Charles says the trials actually gave him a chance to play his way into the top 5 of the draft. We talked about this with him earlier this year and thought he might have some shots to take at night, but that's not the case.
No, in fact, he was very, very honest about the fact that in the end, when you say to Charles, should you have made that team? He says, no, I should not. It was the right choice by them not putting him on that team. Very upfront and honest about it.
2.5 remaining in the first half. Machadel and Barkley with the rebound. It's a 4-on-2. Johnson behind the back. Barkley couldn't handle it. Here comes Machadel. And the bank shot is put home by Negrin. Lazaro Negrin. United States leading 57-26. Cuba coming off the last-second victory last night. A come-from-behind effort against Canada. Bird for 3. Bird hitting his second from downtown. He has 10 points.
That was just to make sure that nobody thought he didn't have his NBA three-point range. He got way back behind this three-point line and knocked that one down.
Yes, the three-point line in international play, 20.5 feet as opposed to 23.9 in the NBA. Michael Jordan popping it down to Christian Laettner. United States 62 and Cuba 26. We approach 1 minute remaining in the first half. And the foul called on Bird. That'll send Negrin to the foul line for Bird, his second. Well, 4 weeks from today, this United States squad will make its Olympic debut in Barcelona. We are assuming they will qualify for the Olympics in Barcelona by roaring through this tournament. And that game will be seen in its entirety starting at 12 Eastern Time. That is 4 weeks from today. Out of this field of 10 countries, 4 will qualify for the Olympics. It is a round-robin tournament that will go right throughout the week. These are the clubs that have already qualified. A rare turnover committed by the United States. Another look at it. Spain, the host country. China, Angola, Australia, 4 from the European tournament and 4 more from the tournament of the Americas here in Portland. By Jordan with the steal, and that is his first basket.
Michael Jordan already in this first half of basketball has jumped out in the passing lane, 4 different opportunities, anticipating where the next pass was going and getting a hand on it.
Half minute remaining in the first half. Leitner for Barkley. This is Diaz. The ball goes back to the United States with 11 seconds left.
Another case of the U.S. running at the shooter behind the three-point line. Magic that time, making the defensive rotation, forcing him to put it on the floor.
Bird for three. Yes! His third from downtown. Larry Bird from Magic Johnson to conclude the first half. So Chuck Daly heads back to the locker room with the United States in its opening game in command to the tune of 67-27 at halftime. Coming up, Bob Costas, and Bob will be visiting with Carl. 20-minute halves. Mullen for a straightaway three. Another three-pointer for the United States. They now lead 70-27 for Mullen, his second from three-point land. And the foul is called.
Number 10 on Drexler.
On Drexler.
Personal foul. First team foul of the second half.
United States now 5 of 9 in the three-point shot. Cuba 2 of 9. This is Gilbert, and he lost it. He tried to back in on Robinson.
The problem is you get the ball down the low post, you start to back David Robinson in, then you say to yourself, where am I going with this?
Malone was hit, fouled by Lazaro Burrell. Lazaro Burrell is only 19 years of age. There he is, number 11. One of the youngest players in Cuba's national program. He averaged 17 points and a team-high 9 rebounds at the Pan American Games last summer.
In an unusual coaching decision in last night's game against Canada, in these games, 5 fouls and you're out. Not like the NBA, which is 6. Burrell last night picked up his third. Coach left him in the game midway during the first half. He then picks up his fourth. Has to sit out the rest of the first half. Comes back in and plays the remainder of the game without picking up another foul.
And he came on strong in the second half, a major contributor in that comeback against Canada. United States with a 72-27 lead. Off the beautiful lead pass.
Clyde Drexler, when he picked it up, never even hesitated. He knew that Stockton was gone, just laid it out there with a behind-the-back flip for the easy deuce.
Foul committed by Robinson, a block of Gilbert. That's 2 on Robinson.
Covering for one another defensively, making things happen. As soon as Drexler picked up the ball, he knew that Stockton was gone.
Cuba back to its starting unit. Burrell and Abreu up front. Gilbert the center. Diaz and Perez at the guards. Gilbert not able to hit. Rebounded by Robinson. Drexler for 3. And back comes Abreu. Here's Perez. Leonardo Perez, Cuba's best all-around scorer. He averaged 21 points at the Pan American Games last summer. Only 2 of 5 to this point this afternoon.
He's an explosive player who plays in streaks, as David Robinson shows his versatility by ball faking, putting it on the floor to the basket. Perez last night, 20 of his 22 in the second half.
Last touched by Robinson.
The big man, David Robinson, with the ability to step out, then put it on the floor, and one dribble is all it takes for David to get it to the basket.
Here's Perez trying to get into one of those streaks that you mentioned. Mullen able to clear it out. Look away pass from Stockton. Well, that's a combination that fans here in Portland are accustomed to seeing with the rivalry between Utah and Portland. Karl Malone and John Stockton able to team up. Mullen with the steal. Stockton has Mullen. Goes the other way. Clyde was trailing the play, and Stockton set him up perfectly. John Stockton, man who led the league in assists and steals, leading the NBA in assists for 5 straight years, averaged just under 14 assists per game. Abreu with the bucket, and the United States now leads 80-32. 3 minutes have gone by in the second half. Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Quinn Buckner from Portland. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team making its debut here today. Shot clock down to 5. Robinson will go to the line.
Let's go back a moment ago for the United States team, the transition game. Stockton knows his big man, his partner, Karl Malone, the mailman, is going to be running down the middle of the floor hard, so he's always looking for him. And then when you think he's going right, instead he goes left to Clyde for the finish.
Foul was committed by Gilbert. That is his 4th. And David Robinson having his difficulties at the free throw line.
Well, in talking to David yesterday, we mentioned the conditioning factor and then the surgery on the thumb, how much of an effect. He said, well, it's not 100% right now. He said, but it's healed well enough that I can still run the floor and block shots to help in those ways.
Nice backdoor feed. Abreu not able to hit. Mullen for 3. And back comes Perez. Finding Diaz. And Cuba will maintain possession.
The hand, which was repaired, the scar to David Robinson, surgery done during the regular season, and David on his way to recovery, not quite 100%, but feeling pretty good.
And there is the Jerry Tarkanian, who will be handling David Robinson as the new head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. Robinson underwent surgery back in March, and he's still playing with a splint on his left thumb. Stockton able to jump out for the steal. Malone for Mullen. Felix Morales trying to get back, but it was a 3-on-1 break. United States now leads 82-32.
What's happening right now with the Cuban team, you've got each of the players talking to one another about, look, throw the pass a little higher, throw it a little harder, throw it over here instead of over there, and that's what tends to happen. The pressure defense like this can just discourage teams, take them out of everything they're trying to do.
And Drexler leads the break. Stockton. Now, Mike, during the course of this week at the Tournament of Americas, we will see stronger teams than Cuba. Cuba did come up with a surprise last night. Last-second victory on the three-pointer by Diaz to beat Canada by 1 point. United States will go up against Canada here tomorrow night, but is this the pattern we're going to see? Will it be all blowouts for the so-called dream team of the United States?
There's no question, Mark, that this team is far superior to the other teams as far as the basketball abilities of the players, but you mentioned that there are stronger teams. The Brazil team is very big, very strong, a very experienced international team. Puerto Rico as well feels that they play well against the U.S. players.
Timeout has been called. We'll be back after these messages. Before this out, the biggest point differential ever for the United States in Olympic play, 72-point spread back in 1956. The U.S. defeating Thailand 101-29. A United States team that included Clyde Drexler. So Clyde has 12 points. Back in '88, U.S. walloping Egypt by a pretty good margin. That 56 team included Bill Russell and Casey Jones. Perez. So the United States leads now 88-32. 6 minutes gone by in the second half, and it's gotten to the point where it, as you saw that the easy layup by Clyde Drexler, it has been that simple in the second half. The U.S. now leading 90-34.
When this USA, another turnover taking place, when this USA team comes out and applies the defensive pressure, it can break the spirit of a lot of basketball teams because it's going to have the ability to score so many points in just short, quick spurts.
The United States with 31 points, cashing in on turnovers. Cuba with only 2. Perez and Robinson able to control off the boards. Again, the U.S. on a break. Stockton from Malone. It counts, and the foul.
The long outlet pass takes place, and when you can outlet the ball to the half-court mark, you know you're going to get your players out on the break, and a big man like Malone running the floor. Stockton and Malone, a combination that Chuck Daly wants to keep together as much as possible on the floor.
Miguel Calderon, the Cuban coach, now making changes. Massive substitutions. Miguel Calderon played for the Cuban national team. He was a member of the squad that upset the United States in its opening game of the 1971 Pan American Games in Colombia, South America. There is Miguel. That loss prevented the United States from gaining the medal round, while Cuba earned the bronze that year. This is his first international coaching experience. Took over the coaching duties only 8 months ago. That basket will not count. Stockton on a give and go with Malone. 8 points, 10 assists for John Stockton. Magic Johnson with 8 assists. And Malone with the rebound, fires down. Here's Drexler for Robinson. Make it 97-34. Well, going into this competition, there were basketball people who said no question it would be a series of blowouts. Drexler again, and the foul. But I don't know if the severity of this type of blowout was expected, because I think if you went over to the Cuban bench and asked Coach Miguel Calderon, would you like to stop this right now, I think he would say yes. It's enough.
There's not a whole lot you can do. It's very frustrating for a coach, because you understand that you still have to come back and play your next game tomorrow. And the objective of the coaching staff is to help the team as best they can to advance and move on to the Olympics. You go into this game and you understand, hey, maybe I don't have a real good chance of beating this team, but I've got to win the rest of my games.
Miguel giving the impression that obviously there is nothing that can be done. A lane violation was called, so Drexler got the second opportunity. 12 minutes, 11 seconds remaining. And the United States with a 100-34 lead. The Cuban team with the thought that a timeout was called, and that led the United States team to head back to their bench. But the officials wave it off, and play will continue.
But if you're Cuban, you're thinking about this all of a sudden, that the second half started with Magic and Michael and Charles. Those guys are on the bench. They still have to come back into the game yet.
And the Cubans are back in action tomorrow afternoon. They go up against Panama. United States facing Canada tomorrow night. That's a foul on Robinson. Got a piece of Alberto Machadel.
Number 5, David Robinson.
David Robinson called for his third, and now a timeout is indicated. 11:57 remaining in the game.
Basketball. Shit, we're changing the face of shaving. By Converse, it's what's inside that counts. And by IBM, official information system of USA Basketball.
Larry Bird has returned along with Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson back, and that won't count. So Michael Jordan with his most explosive move of the day, but he was fouled before the shot attempt. hit by Caballero.
Well, I think everyone in this building has been waiting for Michael to do something explosive. Unfortunately, the whistle takes away the opportunity.
Barkley trying to go back door with Pippen. In watching Cuba get wiped out here by the United States, it might be difficult to fathom, but if you have a club that would be more competitive, what would the coaching strategy be to try and pull an upset against this United States squad? Mike, if you're coaching the other club, what do you do?
Well, first I make some big trades if it's possible. Try and find some guys hanging out that can play. But you try to control tempo as best you can. Perhaps changing defenses, hoping to use some more time off the clock when the U.S. has the basketball by giving them one look, then changing to another, maybe changing back. The next thing, offensively, milk the clock. Take the 30-second shot clock, run it down as low as possible, and hope for a very high shooting percentage evening so that you're knocking all your shots down, putting pressure back on the U.S. team. But looking down the road, two teams that should be very competitive teams, the Croatian team and Lithuania, both of those teams like to get out and run. So it's not their style to really, run the shot clock down.
Juan Caballero, the brother of Angel Caballero, called for the foul, and the steal by Angel Caballero. Jordan behind him. United States up by the score of 100 to 37. Oddly, the last time the U.S. played a major international basketball game, the opponent was Cuba. That was last August the 17th, as you see Jordan draw the foul when the United States beat the Cubans 93-74 to win the bronze medal. Earlier in that tournament, in the preliminary round, the Americans beat the Cubans 92-88 in a game that was every bit as close as that score indicates. That United States team featured 12 college players, including 6 who were drafted in the first round this past Wednesday. Christian Laettner, Jimmy Jackson, Walt Williams, Clarence Weatherspoon, Adam Keefe, Tracy Murray, all on that squad. Nice fake on Jordan. Good play by Juan Caballero. United States 100 and Cuba 39. And Cuba has actually unleashed 5 unanswered points. Scottie Pippen. The high man of the game, Clyde Drexler, has 17. Charles Barkley with 16. Karl Malone 11. Chris Mullin has 12. Larry Bird has 13. Jordan able to break it up. John Stockton with 11 assists. Magic Johnson has 9.
Normally that cross-court pass would have gotten through to an open teammate, but with the ability of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen to cover so much ground defensively, that's what many of these players have not seen in the competition they've played against. The athleticism, the fact that they cover so much space on the floor and then so quickly.
And the foul call.
Second personal, 14 foul.
It's on Caballero. Public address incorrect on the announcement. They said foul on Jordan, but it's Caballero. Bird open. Yes.
Actually, Michael Jordan wanted to throw that pass to Charles Barkley, who had just set the screen for him and rolled to the basket. Michael got up in the air, and at the last second, when the defense rotated across and cut off Charles, he knew Larry was in the right-hand corner, just dropped it off for the open jumper.
Pippen with the steal. Couldn't hold on. Macudel able to recover. Last touch by Bird. 8 on the shot clock. It is a 30-second shot clock in international play. Rojas and Bird with the rebound. Gets to Pippen. Pippen over to Jordan. Through the foul.
Number 12, Alberto.
Scottie understands that Michael will be there. All he's got to do is lay it on the floor. Michael will catch up and then protect with the body when trying to concentrate on the shot.
So Jordan to the line, fouled by Macudel. Well, 6 players have been able to win an NCAA title, an NBA championship, and a college championship. The 6 including a fellow by the name of Quinn Buckner. Nice setup. And it was finished off by Matienzo with just under 9 minutes remaining in the ball game. Barkley posting up. And he was hacked down the play. So Barkley to the line. Michael Jordan, Quinn Buckner, K.C. Jones, Bill Russell, Jerry Lucas, and Clyde Lovellette stand out at Kansas before going on to the NBA. They have managed to win NCAA, Olympic gold, and an NBA championship. Barkley to the free throw line. Charles Barkley leads all active players in field goal percentage at 57%. In fact, that is second all time behind Artis Gilmore, who shot 58%, but Artis was doing it for the most part from close in.
Have a little quiz for you.
Yes.
You named the 6 players. Might there be one other guy hanging out here that's trying to do a similar thing? Add his name to that list? I know it's a tough question.
I would not even. Mike, it's so simplistic. I would not even give it a shot.
Dealing with. Magic Man trying to add his name to that list of 6.
I was there when we were talking about it earlier.
Needed too much time.
I see. Oh, you're trying to fake this. A little fake quiz. 8:20 remaining in the game, and the U.S. leading 108-41. Jordan off the fake. Michael Jordan with a spectacular move, going to a second option. And the U.S. leads 110-41. Morales crushed. Look out.
Well, Michael was determined to make something happen here to get their crowd a little bit more involved than they've been. So how about a little double clutch, pull it away from the defensive man and kiss it off the rim and backboard. Jordan with the pullback, the concentration, elude the defense, and knock it down.
Give me play, and I think this is going to be great, not only for basketball worldwide, but I think the NBA fans would love to see something like this, and that's why everyone's so excited about this team.
And that's why we're here watching too. And
well, we've been asleep for a while now.
Jerry, thanks a lot. Back to you, Marv.
All right, about Jerry West, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. 7.5 remaining in the game, and the United States with a 110-43 lead.
And the U.S. showing a little zone defense right here, working on some of the things that Chuck was able to put in practice yesterday for the first time. A U.S. zone defense. He had to put it in because he had to work against it.
Leonardo Perez hitting a three-pointer. Magic Johnson able to come right back. Easy penetration for the Magic Man. United States leading 112-46. Cuba back to the starting backcourt of Jose Diaz and Leonardo Perez.
United States using a little 1-2-2, 3-2 flat zone.
Oh, behind the back feed. Pippen takes from Jordan. And the United States showing pressure on the inbounds. Gilbert being hounded by Barkley. And Barkley out of the pack. Barkley all the way. Drew the foul. Charles to the line. We'll go to Quinn Buckner.
All right, thanks, Marv. I'm here with JoJo White. And JoJo, you played on the 1968 Olympic team, but I got to ask you, have you ever seen a group that plays as well together as this group?
Quinn, this is awesome. It's almost embarrassing. You look at the score. It's really exciting for the fans to see this magnitude of talent all together to perform for the United States. So it's kind of incredible, and we're seeing history in the making.
What is the thing that sticks out the most about this team to you?
Well, I think the guys themselves are excited about representing their country, and for the first time, we ever had our pro team pitted against the other country's pros. So it's very, very exciting. I don't really see any competition at all.
Well, I tend to agree with you. I want to thank you, JoJo. Back to you, Marvin.
All right, Quinn, JoJo White, one-time Boston Celtics star, stand out at Kansas, and Olympic gold medal winner. Foul committed by Barkley. Indeed, Abreu checks back in, replacing Lazaro Burrell. The only Cuban player in double figures, Leonardo Perez, with 10 points. The high man for the United States, Charles Barkley, with 20. And 39-year-old Felix Morales on the free throw line. The United States now with a front line of Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson in the backcourt. Last touch by Pippen. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the game. The Tournament of the Americas beginning yesterday here in Portland. 4 games taking place. Overall, the top 4 teams will advance to the Olympics in Barcelona. Magic trying to hit Barkley. And back comes Gilbert. Bird with the steal. Pippen from Barkley. Preceded by the look away from Bird.
Well, I guess they've decided that it's a little bit of showtime right now for the U.S. team. Making the extra passes, Jerry West mentioned a few moments ago, sometimes overpassing the basketball, but having fun doing it.
And Larry Bird has certainly enjoyed the afternoon. He's hit 6 of 7 from the field. He has 15 points. Bird has hit 3 from three-point range. Scottie Pippen to the foul line. Two-time All-Star, one of the NBA's most versatile players, man who has redefined the small forward position. Chuck Daly telling everybody how impressed he has been with Scottie Pippen. Not that he did not realize that Scottie is a terrific player, but as you know, Mike, when you see guys firsthand in practice, sometimes you get a better appreciation of the all-around skills.
A much greater appreciation when you're with them every day in practice and you see how hard they come to play in a meaningless situation, practice, other than conditioning and getting this stuff down. But Chuck, a big fan of Scottie Pippen.
Felix Morales showing us the left-hand pop. The United States leading 118-49. They led 67-27 at halftime. Bird from Pippen.
This is all just playing right now. The structure part of it is gone. They're playing smart basketball, freedom to move on their own and play in the half-court offense. That time, a little back pick and then move to the basket wide open, and then the look and pass, the conversion factor.
Well, Perez showing that shooting touch that we talked about earlier. That's a three-pointer, his 3rd of the game. He now has 13. Another 3 attempted. Here's Barkley. Barkley over Morales, who could just shake his head afterwards. So Barkley, the high man, with 22. Substitutions about to be made. A new 5 entering for the United States. Bird trying to keep it alive. Deflected out of bounds. And a timeout has been called with 3:46 remaining in the game.
When someone at 6'5" picks up the ball, you don't expect he's going to take it and dunk it over the top of you, but Sir Charles certainly can.
Competition for Lithuania, one of the teams that everyone says can compete with this American team. This is the Godfather. Frank, what do you think about the pros playing this?
Well, first off, I think the United States, what I've seen of them today, they're too good for anybody to compete with them. But I must mention my role in one of the teams that might give them a scare. I coached in Lithuania for 3 years after the first Olympics in 1936, 1939. We won the European basketball tournament. Myself, I was player, captain, and everything. Scored the particular basket that beat the former champions by 1 point. And then all my students thereafter were absorbed by Russia in 1940. I had to get out of the country. I stayed there for 3 years coaching. And so, but Russia, not known to have a basketball team in 1952, absorbed the Latvians, the Estonians, and the Lithuanians, and they gave the Americans a scare in Helsinki. They gave them the score was by 11 points. They lost to the United States. And going on in history, a lot of my students were coaching, and today, whoever beat the United States in the Olympics in 1988, do you know?
I know about it.
Oh, you know all that history. Well, 4 of my Lithuanians were on that Russian team. Today, they've got their independence. Lithuania, a small nation of 3 million people. They've got all these Lithuanians back from Russia and playing for Lithuania now, including Marciulionis, Sabonis, big 6, 7 foot 2-inch man. And they beat the Russians last night by 30-some points. And they won to make it 54 points, showing that that's how long Russia dominated over the Lithuanians. But they didn't quite reach it, but they're a dominant factor in this.
Okay, well, Frank, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we want to get back to the game. We hope that Lithuania does well. They'll get a chance, hopefully, to play the Americans, and we'll see if they come along. Thanks a lot. Mark?
I didn't realize that Frank Lubin had joined our broadcast team.
Quinn and Frank going for their own special.
Well, that magic is not available. Maybe Frank wants to join us here at the NBC microphone. Frank, a star in UCLA and a member of that 36 U.S. Olympic basketball team, a host of the Olympians in for a gala dinner here in Portland on Friday night. 2:35 remaining in the game. Nice follow by Caballero. Stockton getting down. I was all set to give Frank the close. He could have taken us right off the air. Machadel being guarded by Stockton. Chuck Daly now going with Leitner, with Malone and Mullen up front. Stockton and Drexler in the backcourt. Alberto Machadel. So the United States now leads 127 to 57. A 70-point differential. Well, a look at the Miller Genuine Draft play of the game. This taking place in the first half off the save by Michael Jordan, going behind the back, finding Larry Bird, and he's able to hit the three. The rejection by Drexler. That gets the crowd going.
Clyde kind of likes the defensive aspect of the game, sending it back into the stands.
Alone from Stockton, it counts, and the foul. Assist number 13 for John Stockton of the Utah Jazz. Rojas called for the foul as fifth, so he is fouled out. Eliezer Rojas picking up number 5.
Well, earlier in the game, when I looked at the stats monitor and realized that the U.S. team was shooting 71%, if you're coaching the opposition, you say, well, they'll cool off eventually. I'm looking at it right now, and they're shooting 72.
And Casey Jones, and this is now a 73-point lead for the United States as we wind it down. Caballero on the back dribble setting up against Drexler. Machadel. And McGreen over Mullen. Leitner able to get to it. Stockton from Mullen. Stockton saving it. Here's Mullen. And he's bottled up. Stockton on the recovery. Malone is fouled. And the crowd enjoyed the ball movement on that sequence.
you wonder how they know where the next guy is, but it's that court sense, the awareness of the entire floor. And then when you're trying to make a great save, you just lay it out there and you hope that your teammate continues to run hard and gets to that spot. And that's what's happened a number of times with the U.S. players. And then just before Karl Malone went up to try and make the layup, he delivered a little physical miss to Abreu in the form of a left elbow to his chest.
15 points for Karl Malone, 5-time All-Star. He and John Stockton leading Utah to the Midwest Division title this past season. And then they were defeated in the Western Conference Final by the Portland Trailblazers. Here's Caballero. Abreu able to keep it alive. Machadel just got a piece on the glass. Stockton ahead of the field. 134 to 57. Half minute remaining. Tomorrow night, the United States goes up against Canada here in Portland. While tomorrow afternoon, Cuba will face Panama. The chant of USA from this crowd of 12,000 plus at the Memorial Coliseum. 10 seconds to go. The Green putting the move on Mullen. Malone with the rebound. And that will wrap it. Drexler with a count. Yes, it does. Well, the crowd loved the conclusion. The final score, the United States 136 and Cuba 57. We'll be back in Portland in a moment. Pick a host of stars for the U.S. men's Olympic basketball team as they defeat.
Now this is a different lineup than they started with, but the results are the same right inside to Karl Malone. Now a lot of people think that the USA will, take advantage of the three-point line, but I really think that because they can do anything what they want with the basketball, they're going to be taking the high percentage opportunity whenever they want.
All right, a lot of people who are familiar with college basketball in the Northwest may recall Greg Wilcher played 1 year at Oregon State. He is number 14 and starts for Team Canada. Shot on the way by another veteran, Leo Routon. One of the great players in Canadian history who at one time played for Philadelphia. David Robinson is fouled on his way to the basket. And so the United States leading 2-0 will now go to the line for 2 shots.
Chuck Daly has said that he wants his team to attack, and right out of the first miss from Routons, they go right to the fast break, and you see David Robinson putting pressure on the defense. The Canadians are going to have to get back after every mistake. Otherwise, they're going to see Team USA on the line or dunking the ball.
3 United States starters from Game 1, starting again tonight. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and David Robinson. Malone and Mullen are the 2 new starters. John mentioned the little dynamo point guard, and here he is, 5'9" Ron McMahon. Turcotte, number 7, is a terrific three-point shooter, especially from the left corner. Turnover. Magic. Alley-oop. Robinson. And Jordan has the ball, and an over and back violation is called.
Well, there you go, John. There's one of your calls where you'd say it may not be consistent with what you would call the officiating. Was there control on that play?
Exactly. You get different referees from different countries, and you have no idea how the game's going to go in the first 5 to 10 minutes. The coaches are testing that out.
Weddington with Karl Malone. Jordan reaches in and makes the steal. U.S. leading 3-0. Magic Johnson draws the foul.
You can see that Canada has to come up with the first rule of defense, which is to stop the basketball. They are not. Whittington trying to make a move. Jordan steps in, strips him of the ball. They immediately get the ball to Magic Johnson, and he goes all the way to the hoop. John, your boys are going to have to play some D.
Yeah, they're going to have to get back. I think that's one of the things that has surprised us is the amount that they're pushing the ball up the court and getting down the floor. We thought that maybe after the NBA season that they may not be doing that as much, but obviously they are.
5-0 U.S. The foul was on Greg Wilcher. First foul was on Whittington. 2 team fouls on Canada. After 8, you go to the bonus, and we do shoot 1-1 in international basketball.
Jordan did this in game 1 against the Cuban three-point shooter and took Perez out of the ball game, and he's doing the same thing with Turcotte, trying not to let him catch the basketball.
Turcotte made 5 field goals in game 1, and all were from the three-point range. The foul was called on Greg Wilcher a moment ago, and so Big Greg, a second foul. Wilcher, now 31. Magic Johnson, 7-0 USA, 18-10 left, first half.
Problem in the backcourt. McMahon cannot deal with Magic Johnson down at the defensive end. They're going to have to give some help. Now they got to find a place to score the ball.
Rebound, Michael Jordan. Steal, Turcotte. McMahon bumped and fouled by Michael Jordan. First team foul on the USA.
I think you're going to see the USA pressure our guards a little bit. They want to get on McMahon all night. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's a great reaction from Turcotte. Jordan trying to slide that ball into Karl Malone for an easy 2. So one of the Canadians beginning to get back defensively.
Turcotte with the ball, played for Boyd Grant at Colorado State. Routen's inside to Wilcher. Defense collapses. Routen's inside to Wilcher. Whittington, and Canada's on the scoreboard. 2.5 minutes into the game. 7-2 USA. Magic spins around McMahon. Misses the shot. Wilcher rebounds. Leo Routen's to Bill Whittington. To Wilcher. Surprised he was so open. The follow, and Wilcher scores. It's 7-4.
Greg has good hands for a big man, and we'll hope to see a little bit more of that tonight.
Well, this is a matchup right here that Team USA is going to take advantage of as long as they can. Johnson will be able to do what he wants with the ball. He'll be able to get it to anybody he wants. David Robinson trying to rebound. They're going to get a foul against Wilcher. No, Bill Whittington.
I think Bill has been cut fairly badly on the forehead. Yes, on the FIBA rules that have just been introduced this year, as a matter of fact, if there's any open cut of any kind, the player must be removed, and that cut must be patched up in some way, either stitches or Band-Aid of some kind. The bleeding has to stop, and it has to be covered.
And so you see Bill Whittington with that gash over the right eye. We watch again.
Caught an elbow from David Robinson across the eye. Unintentional, but elbow nonetheless.
No foul was called on that play, and the man who came in the ball game was Mike Smrek, the former Laker center. The foul is called on Ron McMahon.
And it certainly is a contact sport, and you see that it's not uncommon in FIBA basketball.
Smrek was a hero in the game against the Cubans. He got him off to a real good start with his goaltending and his offensive putback. Maybe he will have an effect in terms of blocking the middle against Team USA today.
Here comes Karl Malone.
David Robinson has had a tough time scoring the ball, and Karl Malone, trying to come over the top, picks up the offensive foul.
First foul on Karl Malone, second team foul on the USA. Offensive fouls do count as team fouls in FIBA or international basketball. Ron McMahon, Leo Routen's, David Turcotte, Mike Smrek. Tries to split the defense and draws the foul. Foul is on Karl Malone, and Malone quickly gets a second personal foul.
Smrek did this in game 1 against Cuba, was able to get inside and make some things happen. And he seems to be a different player in a Canadian uniform than he was in an NBA uniform. More aggressive, knows he's going to get a chance to play. He's going to stay in there and make some things happen.
Well, I think that's the key. He knows he's going to play, and they're really relying on him for leadership. What do we do here, Mike? Yesterday when we started playing for this game, they turned to Mike and said, what do we do?
And we're 4 minutes into the ball game, and the USA leads Canada by only 2 points, 7-5. Team Canada handling itself well. 9-5 USA. Next dead ball will get a timeout. We have timeouts that'll come at the breaks every 4 minutes. 16, 12, 8, and 4. Greg Wiltshire. Hook shot off the mark. Rebound Michael Jordan. Michael in the lane. 11-5. The lead is 6. 15-20 left first half.
The problem for Team Canada will be at both ends of the floor, but the biggest one will, where will they get some consistent offense? Routens likes to initiate offense, doesn't look to pass that much as we go to a break.
The score, USA 11, Team Canada 5. First half, Pat Lafferty, Steve Jones, and John Affleck, the general manager of Team Canada, with us tonight as an expert analyst. U.S. leading by 6 points.
Now, the defense of Team USA has been outstanding at this end. Mike Schmeck trying to bull his way in, lost control of the ball. And before the shot clock went off, now Karl Malone knocks that ball out of his hand. Looks like it went off his chest, but they're going to give it back to Team Canada. They'll have a new 30-second clock. Well, Chuck Daly is saying he wants 1 second. We'll find out whether the officials give it to him. They do.
1 second on the shot clock. So it'll be a catch-and-shoot situation. Leo Routens to inbound the ball. They'll look for Turcotte. Can't find him. Go to Smrek. Beats the buzzer. Three-point field goal, Mike Smrek. It's 11-8.
That ought to bring a little bit of confidence into the Canadian team. Something like that can really turn you around emotionally.
David Robinson inside. 13-8. USA lead is 5.
So do you guys have pro teams? Schmeck wants a job. I've never seen him play this well in any NBA uniform inside the Wiltshire.
Block, Magic Johnson.
I think some of these guys are looking for a second life.
McMahon flips it up and in. Ron McMahon makes it 13-10. 6 minutes gone. Robinson. In deep to the basket, good for Karl Malone. David got clobbered a little bit, trying to clear the cobwebs. Greg Wiltshire will now come out, and Canada will bring in Martin Keane. He's 6'8" and a forward, has scored 9 points in the 2 previous Canadian games.
Martin's an interesting fella. He's just transferred to the University of Washington last year. He redshirted because of the transfer, came out of Oklahoma. He's a real nice kid that's got good jumping ability. Contributes a lot to our program athletically.
A 3-point play for Karl Malone. 16-10. USA leads. And as you see, we hit the 14-minute mark left in the first half. McMahon for 3. Rebound Karl Malone in the hands of Magic Johnson. Lost the ball out of bounds. Possession Canada.
Well, it was good hustle by Martin Keane. He came in fresh and sprinted back in there and just nicked that ball out.
The problem for Team USA is that the crowd here expects them to score on every possession, much like they did in the 70% shooting game they had against Cuba. They will score most of the time, but it's not going to be every possession against Team Canada.
Magic with the ball off Mullins' rebound. And McMahon will be called for the personal foul.
Number 5, Ron McMahon.
That'll be his second.
7-5.
As you mentioned, Steve, Ron has given up an awful lot here with Magic, and there's just no way he's going to stay with him in a man-to-man situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Canada go to some sort of a zone, and very, very close.
Michael Jordan, 18-10, USA leading by 8.
The bad thing is they don't really have a big guard over there when they come back in. They stay just about the same size.
They like to be consistent.
Mike Smrek. Ball lost. Malone rebounds. Michael Jordan to Malone. Surprised him. Ball off his hands, and the USA turns it over.
that will always be a problem for the USA throughout not only the Tournament of the Americas, but the Olympics, and the fact that they will be a little too unselfish, and sometimes the teammates will be surprised, not ready to catch the ball.
All right, a change in backcourt now for Team Canada as Turcotte and McMahon come out, and Trevor Williams and J.D. Jackson come in, and Charles Barkley will come in for the United States. Also John Stockton. Stockton wearing number 12 and Barkley 14. This is Trevor Williams. He joined the Canadian team when Eli Pasquale, their longtime great point guard, broke an ankle just over a week ago. And John, that happened in Puerto Rico.
That's correct. First play of the first game in Puerto Rico against the United States Basketball League All-Stars, and that was a tremendous blow to our program, a two-time Olympian.
Jordan off the mark and the rebound to Trevor Williams. Nice feed. Can't finish. Tap up and in. J.D. Jackson, College Player of the Year in Canada. It's 18-12.
Their second unit is a better defensive unit. They gave Cuba all kinds of trouble with pressure at the point of attack. Keene, Trevor Williams, they did an outstanding job. It'll be interesting to see whether they affect Team USA the same way. John Stockton, he bumped the knee.
Into the lineup for USA, Magic Johnson.
And so Stockton goes to the bench, and Magic Johnson will come in.
Maybe a cramp.
And Patrick Ewing in the ball game. Steve, you interviewed Patrick today, and that will be shown tonight at halftime of our telecast. And a little surprised to see Patrick back. He was supposed to be out 3 games.
Ewing felt that he was ready to play. The thumb has gone down. He still has a little nagging problem with the ankle, but he said it was just too hard to sit. So we'll see how he contributes at the offensive end. He'll get an 8th-team foul. And you see, now this is what you would call emergency first aid.
Well, it looks like Winnington's been playing hockey.
Well, it's interesting. Just before we left the locker room, Jay Triano, a long-time national team member for Canada, said, guys, this is the closest Canada and the United States will ever come to war, so let's get out there. So I think we're seeing a little evidence of that.
Magic misses the free throw, and possession will remain with the United States. We have 12:01 left in the first half, and Team USA leading 18-12, but Canada giving the United States all they want in these opening 8 minutes in a tight 6-point game.
A foul against J.J. Jackson here, and this is one of the problems you have with international fishing. Jackson thought he could push his way through. He does not.
And we go to a timeout. Routens to Smrek. Leo Routens. Clyde Drexler will be in. Next dead ball. Pick block Patrick Ewing. Smrek follows. No good. Ewing rebound. Magic lead the Mullen. Jordan pressured by J.D. Jackson. Patrick Ewing. Barkley scores and is fouled. And Clyde Drexler comes in for Team USA.
What you have to do with Barkley is make sure that you get between him and the hoop. Martin Keene was caught looking away from the play. Barkley got inside position, an easy tip for him. Now he has a chance for a 3-point play. Drexler enters the ball game for the first time along with Scottie Pippen. Team Canada makes a couple of substitutions.
Bill Wennington back in, and again he looks like one of the revolutionary heroes.
They always talk about Barkley's athletic ability, but that situation was one of just smart thinking. He got his position underneath the basket, got the rebound, and put it back up.
A 9-point United States lead, 10:40 to go, first half. Trevor Williams, Southern University is where he has played. Leo Routens, 3-point shot.
Routens
21-15.
But he is a reluctant offensive player. He always looks to pass first, and tonight they're going to need some offense from number 11.
That's his first 3-pointer of the tournament, and that's crucial for Canada. They have to get more than, as you say, Steve.
Drexler to Barkley. Charles is in charge. 23-15. Weddington. Knocked away by Barkley, and a foul.
Screen, but it's not really a screen as Barkley rushes and goes inside, gets a nice lead from Drexler, and does hang 10. Barkley has given the USA a spark since he's come in the ball game. He's already picked up a couple of personal fouls against the Canadians, and he's back on the line for the third time. And just gave J.D. Jackson a little pork chop to say hello.
Maybe Barkley's a little fired up. The last time he played Canada was 1983 at the World University Games in Edmonton, where they lost the gold medal game to Canada. So maybe he's trying to get back a little bit here.
All right, John, he's shooting 2 shots now with the players cleared off the line. And why is that?
I'm not too sure what they called there, to tell you the truth. That either an intentional foul of some kind, probably. They've got various degrees of intentional fouls in the FIBA rules, just depending on the intensity of the foul.
Well, Barkley had the ball stolen down here. They may have thought he had control. We'll have to try to get a ruling on it.
24-15, a 9-point lead. Clyde Drexler, Magic for 3. 27-15, the U.S. lead is now 12. Number 12 in the game for Canada, one of their longtime veteran standouts, Gerald Kazanowski. Kazanowski inside and traveled with the ball. Kazanowski, a big star last night in the win over Argentina as he came off to score 16 points.
Yes, he's a veteran we rely on, and he hasn't been doing much lately, and that was a good turnaround for him, and hopefully give him some confidence for tonight.
Magic finds Barkley. Barkley turned away. Follow try won't go. Barkley again. The lead is 14. It's 29-15. Just over 9 minutes left in the half. J.D. Jackson. They'll count that and call goaltending, saying the ball had reached the top of its arc.
Well, Jackson shows that he is no coward. Came back, gave Charles Barkley a little pop on his way to the free throw line. So we'll see how that little confrontation goes. Jackson on the way. They said Drexler had a hand check, but the wipe away by Ewing is counted as a good hoop. What the U.S. centers have to get used to is letting the ball hit the rim, then knock it away.
JD's a determined young man, and he wants to get to the Olympics so bad. He's married to Lori Fong, who was in 1988 in Seoul the gold medal for rhythmic gymnastics, and he really wants to follow her footsteps.
Drexler, the blind cut pass to Patrick Ewing.
It was interesting seeing Patrick take that shot in the when our guys came out on the floor and saw Patrick dressed, they said, well, isn't that an honor? They think they have to dress Patrick to be competitive with us, but shows you what athletes, a little comic relief to get rid of the stress.
Drexler with the ball. Push to Scottie Pippen. Back to Drexler. Lost the ball. Weddington dives. Saved by Barkley. Magic for 3. And the ball is saved by Kazanowski, but Pippen's got it. Barkley shovel inside. Oh! Power me home. Patrick Ewing.
Well, as you say, Steve, Canada gets an opportunity for that rebound, but they just can't control it, and they have to do that to stay alive.
Rebound so far, 15-8, favoring the USA. Word on Stockton, a minor bruise in the leg. We'll see him back later in the game. Kazanowski with Barkley. J.D. Jackson with Clyde Drexler. The bandaged Weddington. Lost the ball, got it back, puts it up and in. Bill Weddington. And again, Canada needing to go with Weddington because already Greg Wilcher's on the bench with 3 personal fouls.
And Coach Shields of Canada, his standard policy, if you have 2 fouls in the first half, you sit down.
It's Ewing.
Ewing trying to get some room to work. As long as he's out there, he's going to give himself a chance to score the ball.
We go to a timeout with the United States leading Canada by 11.
The competition can do.
31-22, United States leading, 7:20 left, first half. Ball knocked up in the air. It is Ewing, can score. Rebound on the weak side, out of bounds, and belongs to Canada. Setting the lineups for you now for Team USA, Clyde Drexler, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, and Patrick Ewing. Bill Weddington and Mike Smrek, the 2 big men for Canada. This is Ron McMahon, the small point guard. Eastern Washington University, and was playing with the CBA in Yakima. He found out he could play on the Canadian team. Wennington scores again. A lot of courage by Wennington. Steve, he's really proved to be a battler tonight and wants to get into this game against the United States.
Well, what he wants to do is help Team Canada get a chance to qualify for the Olympics. A good block this time on Patrick Ewing trying to roll to the hoop.
Wennington, born in Montreal, lead pass. Shot no good, we'll jump it up. Mike Smrek, Scottie Pippen.
Couple strong boys going for the rebounds there. Mike this past winter, he didn't play basketball at all. He lifted weights in California the entire time. So his game's a little rusty, but he certainly has got the strength.
Lifted weights and worked on a boat. He did get a call mid-season for a short cup of coffee, but it's been a tough time for him in the NBA, but he has played with some authority for Team Canada.
Barkley was coming in on McMahon, had a solo, made the overpass to a cutter, and the ball is out of bounds.
As you said, Steve, earlier, if anything, the U.S., the thing they have to worry about is too much unselfishness.
And they've got to take more of the shots when they're there, make life a little bit easier for themselves. Jordan does that time. He's got 6. That's the total number of points he had against Cuba.
And we go to a timeout with 6:23 left in the opening half, and the United States leading by 9.
If it's cold filtered for smoothness and purity, if it's pure cold, and if it's got the name, it's a good thing. Cold, smooth Michelob Golden Draft and easy-going Golden Draft Light.
So grab a good thing, Michelob Golden Draft.
Grab a good
thing. Than they did against Cuba?
No, they haven't. They just haven't made as many shots. They haven't had as many fast breaks. They had them early, but you know, and they've hurt themselves by overpassing in some situations.
Barkley finds 35-24. The lead is 11. The U.S. now with Robinson, Barkley, Pippen, Drexler, and Jordan.
They come back with the idea of trying to quicken the pace of the game again, and we'll find out whether it happens.
Chris Manson on the drive, and the foul is on Clyde Drexler. That is his second. U.S. foul situation now. 2 on 2 players, Drexler and Malone.
Well, as you said earlier, Pat, Al loves to drive to the basket, and he does it well here. He just doesn't finish enough.
What the USA team is going to have to do is overplay his right hand. He is a player that is extremely right-handed, and if you force him to go the other way, he's going to have a real tough time controlling the ball and finishing the play.
Chris Manson again makes both free throws, 35-26. The U.S. leading by 9. The United States so far, no fast break points. Pippen, heartbreak roll, rebound, Mike Smrek. Amazing that we played almost 15 minutes and the United States without a single fast break point. Ron McMahon. The drive by Chris Manson. There was contact, but no foul called. The rebound, David Robinson. The lead, Michael Jordan. Clyde Drexler for 3. Rebound, Wennington. Ball knocked away and stolen. The pass, Barkley, under Smith. Charles Barkley, 37-26. Barkley with 10. J.D. Jackson.
What Barkley has done very well tonight is stay in the slot. He is just hidden down there on the baseline. They've forgotten about him, and whenever there's been a pass available, he's gotten it. Whenever there's been a rebound, he's been in a position to catch it and put it back in. They get a charge against Jackson. Defensive pressure will be the key for Team USA if they're to get into that open court game.
And again, in that case, that was called charging on J.D. Jackson. Here's Jordan. Foul came on the outside drive. It was on J.D. Jackson. So Jackson gets his 3rd personal foul. And now Wiltshire and J.D. Jackson, both with 3 fouls. Here it is.
Right there was the problem. Mike Smrek was in a position to help out, and that's not a good position for a 7-footer. And Jordan blows by him. Jackson trying to give help, picks it up. Turcotte back in the ball game.
2 shots for Michael Jordan.
Actually,
correction, 1 and 1. I'm sorry, Steve.
This substitution hurts them because Turcotte was having a tough time against the defensive pressure. Jackson was actually a little bit more aggressive at getting more things done.
Chris Manson, drive down the lane, missed. Rebound, Robinson. Drexler, hard push. Barkley. Missed inside. We've got a whistle and a foul. They'll wave it off.
Drexler fed Barkley. Barkley thought he had a good shot inside with the turnaround with the turnaround dunk. This is one of his favorite moves. Didn't quite finish. Turcotte will try to come in. Gets hooked on the elbow.
And you saw Charles blow Turcotte out of there. Steal, USA. And Jordan lost the ball, and it's out of bounds, but will stay with the United States.
Well, the Canadians are getting bounced around quite a bit physically here right now, but they're certainly, I think, showing gutsy effort in there, trying to stay with them. But we get back to what you said, Steve, earlier, is that they just don't seem to be able to control the ball when they get bumped.
Karl Malone back in for Team USA. And the ball now goes to Canada. A moment ago on the screen, you saw Canada's coach, Ken Shields. He is the John Wooden of Canadian basketball, guiding his team in Victoria to 7 consecutive Canadian collegiate titles. And he's a legend in your country, John.
That's correct. He was the man for the job after Jack Donahue finished after 20 years. There really was no other choice in Canada.
Turcotte, a 2-point try. And the rebound, Karl Malone. Jordan, 3-point try, off the mark. Rebound kept alive by Malone, but it is Bill Weddington, battered and earlier bleeding, that pulls down another board for Team Canada. 11-point U.S. lead, 3:45 left, first half. Steve's interview with Patrick Ewing, taped after yesterday's game, will be at halftime. Oh, great play. Chris Manson gave it off to Mike Smrick. It's 37-28.
A good drive like that can open up the middle sometimes, and certainly we saw that just now. Nice feet to Smrick.
Scottie Pippen. Rebound, Mike Smrick.
Crowd here a little bit stunned, not by the score, but by the U.S.'s inefficiency to get the ball in the basket. They may have been spoiled by that 70% shooting they had in the blowout. Whittington travels.
Turnovers, 6 for the United States, 9 for Canada. And you see the substitution, Martin Keene back into the ball game, the 6'8" forward, again the redshirt at the University of Washington. And we'll also see back into the ball game Leo Routens, and he'll replace Bill Weddington.
Now, this is a very small Canadian team out on the floor now. You can look for them to try to pressure, but you can also look for Team USA to really try to exploit it and go inside.
Malone with Keene. Ball in Magic's hands.
Well, they're trying to post up inside with David Robinson against Routen. They know that they've got a size mismatch all over the place, and they get a foul against Turcotte on the other side. So for the...
Moments ago, you saw this from Mike Smrick. He hasn't played like this since he was at Canisius.
But this has really been their best offensive play with a drive to the hoop and then an exchange for Smrick going to the hoop. And if they could have more of that, certainly they could put more pressure on the interior defense of the USA.
Canada has to do that more during this game because we all realize that the United States hasn't, we see Bill Weddington there leaving the locker room. The blood started to come out a little bit more behind that bandage, and I think they're just going to go and get a little bit more repair job.
Probably stitch him up now before the second half. Malone makes the second free throw, 39-28. And you see our game clock on the screen. We have 2:45 left in the first half. Canada 1-1 in the Tournament of the Americas, and the United States 1-0 after winning by 79 against Cuba. Martin Keene leaves it short, and the ball out of bounds belongs to the United States.
What the USA has to do is show some patience here in the final 2:35. I think they're a little bit too eager to try to blow Team Canada away. They're going to have to carve this one out a little bit more than they did on Sunday afternoon against Cuba.
U.S. shooting only 42%. Canada shooting 34%.
Again, small lineup.
David Robinson. The lead is 13. Chris Manson. Down the lane, comes to contact. He'll go to the line again.
I think what this driving down the middle does, Steve, is that the United States hasn't had an opportunity to work on their defense a lot. Do you switch? Do you stay with your man? What happens if you have to switch? We can take advantage of these kind of opportunities in two-man basketball. We can at least keep it respectable and stay in the ball game.
Clyde Drexler out of the ball game, and Chris Mullin is back in. So the United States now with David Robinson, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, Scottie Pippen, and Magic Johnson. Chris Manson at the line. He's 4 of 4 at the stripe tonight. Quickly scoring leaders, Smrek and Wennington, 6 each for Canada. Barkley with 10, and Karl Malone and David Robinson, 7 each for the United States, and Magic Johnson has 9. 41-30, the lead 11. We hit the 2-minute mark in the first half. Pat Lafferty, Steve Jones, and special guest analyst John Affleck, the general manager of Team Canada, pleased with what he's seen from his club. Malone down the lane, the mailman delivers.
Well, he certainly blew right by Smrek on that one, and Mike didn't show good quickness at all.
Blocked inside, David Robinson. Magic in the middle.
Well, that's what they have expected most of the time, is some sort of defense. Mullin with 3.
The lead 16. 46-30. Ron McMahon. McMahon, a double-figure scorer in Canada's 2 earlier games, as was Turcotte. Shot on the way and no good by Leo Rautins. Ball knocked away by David Robinson. Magic. Shovel Malone. For Magic. Final minute, first half.
Now, right now in the NBA, you'd probably see a coach take a 20-second timeout or something like this, but that's not available here.
Chris Manson again gets the ball and again drives. And again will go to the line.
What they have to know is that this guy is going to go right. They're up on him perhaps a little bit too close, and they should back off of him and try to make him become a perimeter player. Every time he's had the ball, he has initiated the drive and made some plays happen for Team Canada. A lot of positive results since he's come to the ball game.
And we will keep it here as Team Canada calls a timeout. Our score, 48-30. And in the front row tonight, you see head coach of the Trailblazers, Rick Adelman, and alongside his wife, Mary Kay, and daughter, Kathy. All right, let me get thoughts from both of you. Steve, first, your thoughts. U.S. leading by 18. Your thoughts on this first half?
Well, the only thing that I have seen that the U.S. hasn't done well is show some patience. They've had shots. They've overpassed a little bit. They've been a little bit too eager to try to steal some balls after a pretty good start, and Team Canada has settled down. And since Chris Manson has come into the game, he has been a huge lift. As you take a look at one of the rock stars that's coming, Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi. Pride in New Jersey after Bruce Springsteen. But there you see Paul Silas, but the huge applause you hear up on the big screen at the Coliseum, a picture of Rick and Mary Kay Adelman, and this crowd echoed their support after 3 marvelous seasons that Rick has given the Trailblazers. All right, John Affleck, your thoughts on the first half?
As I mentioned earlier, I think that Canada came into this game saying, look, all we have to do is play our game by beating Panama, and we beat Argentina last night, of course.
Score by Scottie Pippen. The thing to remember about these 5-team polls is that 3 teams move on into the playoffs. And so if the United States ends up 4-0 in the round robin, 2 additional teams will go. And so you may have a couple of clubs that end up 2-2. And the key there, John, is to win the tiebreaker.
That's correct. The point difference makes an awful lot of difference.
Final 10 seconds. Game clock on the screen.
Trying to find the screen and get it inside your Smrek. I'm telling you, he never played this well in his life.
Mike Smrek scores. It is halftime. And the United States leading Canada by 17. Our score, Team USA 50, Team Canada 33.
You go what? Robinson again moves the ball around, but with the same results. Canada trying to get some pressure off of the smaller guard, sent Smerk over to double team, and that left Karl Malone wide open to blow down the lane. So it's a question of advantages and where Team USA is trying to attack and how Canada is going to cover up. But a big spark off the bench for them has been Mike Smerk. As he did against Cuba in game 1, he came up big in his first. Team USA is going to try to take advantage of their matchup in the backcourt, and Jordan will be one of the players that will get a chance to go down on the post. He scores in his first opportunity. They are going to also have interchanges between Magic Johnson and Scottie Pippen in taking turns and putting pressure on Ron McMahon. Rautins again for 3.
This time off the mark, the rebound, Michael Jordan. U.S. by 18.
See, Johnson dashed for the ball, looking to make something happen. Magic threw it right in the hands of the Canadian defense.
Gerald Kazanowski with the steal. Known around Canada as Kaz. Mike Smerk in on Ewing and scores and draws the foul on Patrick.
As you say, Steve, maybe Mike's going to have another opportunity to get back down here and play after all.
Smerk has certainly brought some attention to himself. There will be a lot of NBA scouts who will say he can help them a little bit, but I think he needs to play for Canada. See, because when he comes back and plays for USA, as you take it, Whittington's patches get worse, the don't get better. But Smerk knows that he's going to get a chance to play here. He's never really gotten that kind of confidence when he's been in the NBA.
Barkley's basket makes it 56-38. The lead is 18. Almost 2 minutes gone in the second half. Mike Smerk down the lane by Ewing and scores again. Mike Smerk. He had... Well, I mean, he's having quite a game. That is a dozen for Smerk, and he is 5 of 8 from the field.
Maybe we'll move him to later guard spot here and take advantage of it.
It's Magic. Patrick Ewing. Comfortable range for Patrick. 58-40. The lead is 18. Again, the word on John Stockton, bruised right calf. That is the specific nature of that injury and being held out just as a precaution.
Well, what Chuck Daly is doing is making sure that nobody gets bruised too badly here. Larry Bird, who played yesterday, appears not to be a participant in this ball game at all, has never really come out of his warm-ups and is sitting on the floor having himself a good time. So there are a couple of players that probably will not play at all for Team USA today. Johnson down the lane.
Magic scores, and the lead is 20 for the first time, 60-40. We did not see it all in the first half. The one collegian on the United States team, Christian Laettner of Duke University. He played in both halves in the win over Cuba. Leo Rautins. Kazanowski, back to Rautins, but stepped on the end line. And you see Chuck Daly. Seems strange, Steve, to look at Chuck Daly and say, the new head coach of the New Jersey Nets after all those great years in Detroit.
Daly's a little bit more involved in this game because it's, you know, a little bit more work for Team USA. Yesterday was a picnic in the park for them. Today, not quite the same stroll, but they should end up winning this game, pulling away. I mean, if I would have put a number on it, by the end of this ball game, this should be 35+ for Team USA. Trying to squeeze in, and Rautins trying to close the door on Michael Jordan, picks up the personal foul.
One team foul on each club in this half. That's the first foul on Rautins. The U.S. now at the free throw line, 9 of 14. Team Canada, 9 of 12. Jordan makes both free throws.
Just fight the cameras.
I'll tell you one thing we see, John, is it's real interesting to watch, quote, the lane violations, and some officials will call it, and some will just completely let it go as Team Canada turns it over. We had an official this afternoon from England, and he must have called a dozen lane violations. As you look at Ken Shields, the coach of Team Canada. U.S. by 22, Scottie Pippen. Aaron Jordan.
Jordan has taken it upon himself to lift the team at the offensive end along with Charles Barkley. He's got 6 in a row. Turcotte trying to get a 3. So the Canadians are going to have to find a way to score as the USA is trying to pull away.
Magic's pass deflected by McMahon. Ewing, 4-men sag. Kick it out, the open Barkley. Will find Ewing. Barkley. Oh, Charles Barkley from the outside. Cut back in the slot, the offensive rebound and score. It is 66-40, and the U.S. now dominant, leading by 26. On the boards, 30-13.
Canada has to get Dave Turcotte involved in the offense a little bit more and get his three-point shot going.
And he loves to shoot from the left corner. And McMahon trying to get fancy. The behind-the-back passes out of bounds. A Canada turnover. And we'll go to a timeout. With 15:29 left, second half, USA by 26.
The reason Robert isn't leaving is not because he doesn't want to be beaten on the basketball court. It's because he doesn't want to be beaten at home.
If you know of or suspect a case of child abuse, do something about it.
Jimmy and Chris for Nuprin.
Jimmy, tennis at your age?
Ooh, if I can do it, you can, Chris.
Not me. Tennis is tough.
So are kids.
You're telling me. My back, my shoulders.
You know what to do for pain.
I Nup it. With Nuprin.
Hey, strong medicine. It works where it hurts.
Works for me.
So how about it, Chris?
Maybe Alex someday.
I'll be waiting.
For back, joint, or muscle pain, Nuprin, the body pain medicine.
There, and I expected to see that in the second half.
Barkley snuffed inside. He'll come back and almost did there. Near steal. Bill Wennington blocked Michael Jordan. And a little instant revenge. Watch this again.
Barkley went up, and Leo Rautins was the guy that got it along with Mike Smerk. Smerk has been the hero so far. They squeeze it inside. Jackson can't get Whittington the shot.
And Michael Jordan rebounds. The United States, 7 for 8 shooting in this half. Magic, drive, dish, Pippen. 3-point field goal, Scottie Pippen. The lead is 29.
Canada's not getting back into their zone. It's sort of what happened at the beginning of the first half. And if they get into that zone, they can at least slow them down a little bit.
Well, Team USA has done one thing better here at the top of the half. They've made shots. Pat just said they were 7 of 8 before the Pippen shot. Canada has only gotten 2 shots to go in, so they've been struggling.
Barkley. And the lead goes to 31 as the U.S. explodes in the first 6 minutes of the second half.
It's the best zone breaker I know. Get the ball down before they even get there. In this situation here, once again, as we said in the first half, you get a bit of a roll like that, a coach normally would call a 20-second timeout, and the NBA don't have that opportunity in FIBA.
So the U.S. run is broken by a 3-point field goal from J.D. Jackson. The other way. And Team Canada wants a timeout. 13:28 to play in the game, and the United States leads by 30. J.D. Jackson. Rebound Jordan. In the Magic Johnson. Magic with Jordan, Chris Mullin, Charles Barkley, and Patrick Ewing. Pippen now out of the ball game, and Mullin is in. 13 minutes left in the game. U.S. leading by 30.
Trying to squeeze the ball into Barkley in the slide. One of the few mistakes that Team USA and Daly's team have made here in the second half of play. They have been dominant in almost every phase of the game. And Canada is going to have to pick it up at both ends of the floor.
Johnny, what's your feeling as a general manager of a national team about having the NBA players on the United States team? Do you consider that to be an unfair situation, or was this the time?
Well, certainly it's unfair if you take a look at the talent base. But I think that in order to develop the international game to the level that everybody around the world wants it to be, it's the only way they can go.
Michael Jordan. Tap, up and in.
Barkley.
Charles Barkley will get credit for the basket. Bill Winnington had scored the last basket for Team Canada. And it's a 75-45 game. Chris Manson back in. Feeds to Ron McMahon. Steal, Charles Barkley with Magic in the middle. Magic Johnson. Spectacular fake. Kept the ball himself and brought this crowd to its feet.
Well, what it appears to me is that the crowd is not going to enjoy these games unless it's a blowout. They've gotten spoiled with excellence from the Cuba game. Canada played a good competitive first half. Jackson with the score at the other end. But they were quiet in that first half of play. Now that the USA has broken things open, they're into the game.
We'll have a jump ball as Greg Wilcher is on the floor with Charles Barkley. This 1987, the Pan American Games. And there is Oscar Schmidt. It was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Oscar Schmidt scored 46 points in that game. And the applause here for Clyde Drexler. But in the Pan Am Games in '87, the applause came down like that for Oscar Schmidt.
Schmidt beat the USA on a last-second shot. The question that everyone asked out of that was, how could you let a shooter wide open? Drexler misses a hammer.
Clyde has not scored in tonight's ballgame after scoring 20 in the last game. It is Clyde. Pass deflected away. Barkley tracks it down.
But Clyde may be like Michael Jordan in this ball game. Jordan in game one only had 6. Today his game is picked up. He may not get that many opportunities. Barkley tries to power his way in. The thing about Team USA is they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And some nights, some players are going to get a bigger offensive role than others.
All right, for Canada, Trevor Williams comes in. We see the play again.
Drexler's penetration creates the opportunity for Barkley. Along with his strength, he draws a foul against Mike Schmidt.
Barkley was 16 points tonight, 2 of 4 at the line. U.S. also has 13 from Magic Johnson, 11 from Karl Malone, 14 for Michael Jordan. Canada's leading scorer, Mike Smrick, has a dozen, and 10 now for J.D. Jackson.
So as you say, Steve, I think that
Karl Malone in.
Barkley's really added a spark to this team. And it is a game of emotion, and you can go up and down, and they were really fired up. Everybody was fired up last night. Well, Barkley has come in and fired them up tonight.
Barkley leaving with 18 points and 6 rebounds. Both are highs for Team USA.
Let's see if Team USA makes an adjustment on Chris Manson. Trevor Williams.
We mentioned Trevor Williams played at Southern University, and he was a teammate of NBA journeyman point guard Avery Johnson, who was with Seattle and San Antonio and Denver. David Robinson, slash in the lane, ball through the hands of Karl Malone. Just over 10 minutes to play.
Those are the only mistakes that Team USA has made here in the second half, where they have been guilty of perhaps surprising their teammates, haven't caught, but they've done almost everything that they've wanted, and they have a 30-point advantage.
9 U.S. turnovers. Canada has made 15. Big story on the boards. U.S. leading by 21 rebounds. And there's a traveling violation. No, 3-second violation. Too long in the key for Mike Smrick.
You're a purist, Pat. They call 3 seconds, and they call it very quickly here in FIBA basketball. So you're going to see that call a lot in the Tournament of America.
Magic Johnson coming out with 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. Fine night for Magic. Chris Mullin long on the 3-point try, and Greg Wilcher gets the rebound. Wilcher 13 points in the first 2 games. Trouble inside. Wilcher flips it up, blocked by Pippen. Pippen through traffic. Mullin, leave it.
Again, the unselfish play and an opportunity for Drexler to bring the crowd to their feet.
Clyde rocked the slam cam.
One of the things that the Team USA will have to adjust to is the foul situation. Well, Karl Malone now has his fourth, but he's picked them up very quickly. And, you know, what's interesting, like John said, is the way that the officials make the calls. In some instances, they let you play very physical, and then in other cases, any kind of contact results in a foul.
Chris Manson, now 8 of 9.
A lot of the fans in Portland not quite used to the stepping over the line on the free throw into the lane. Basically, if you make that shot, you can do anything. You play cards in the free throw lane.
Mullen down the lane, and somebody shuffled while he was trying to deal.
Now the crowd is yelling for Larry Bird, but it's obvious that Bird is not supposed to play today. And maybe they're looking at a back-to-back situation. They want to make sure that Bird does not have any problems with his back.
You said the operative word, Steve, back-to-back. Just over 9 minutes to play in the ball game. A 30-point lead for Team USA.
That's okay. I understood that.
A Canadian would.
Karl Malone drives. Maybe I should work with John more often.
Well, I think Mike Schmeck picked up that foul, but Greg Wiltshire was involved in that also. Interesting for the local fans. Greg married a Portland girl and lives in Clackamas in the off-season, and they're expecting a little one in a couple of months, so we wish Greg the best.
Karl Malone's free throw.
John, does Canada actually have professional teams?
No, we're one of the few countries in the world that does not have a professional league, and that's something we're trying to change right now.
Both free throws for Karl Malone, the mailman with 13 points, 4 rebounds. The U.S. lead 32. Game story billboarded on your screen.
Just to show you the global perspective that FIBA has, the captain on the German national team is a Canadian from the Vancouver area.
Chris Manson all the way to the basket and scores. Chris Manson never will be called shy on courage. He's taking it in on Robinson and on Ewing and on Malone and Barkley.
Well, he knows only one way to play, and he's been consistent with it, and it's been a spark for Team Canada. But again, it's a question of being one man without enough friends doing the same kind of thing.
He scored 26 points in the 88 Olympics against the United States. He just loves playing against the Americans.
Mullen with the three-pointer. Drexler with the block. Saves it coming our way. Malone's got it in backcourt. Chris Manson fouls him inadvertently and will help him up. Great defensive play by Clyde Drexler to get that started. Let's watch.
One of the few times he's elected to try to shoot a jump shot. I'm sure what he's going to say in his program, go back to doing what you do best. Drexler then makes the save. The ball ends up in the hands of Karl Malone. Chris Manson with the personal.
Big Al tried to stop the mail.
Mullen for 3. Rebound, David Robinson. Karl Malone picks it up, spins it up and scored. He is fouled. I think the foul on Wiltshire. Well, they'll call the foul on Phil Ohl. Phil Ohl. We go to a timeout, the lead 35. 88 to 53. Team USA leading by 35. The United States has outscored Canada 38 to 20 here in this second half. And Steve, I think for a lot of the fans, was the United States too good against Cuba?
No, they weren't too good. I mean, they have been as good against Canada here in the second half as they were in the first. Give the Canadians some credit for bouncing back early, making some shots, and Team USA had some impatience. That guy right there has been a huge force along with Mike Schmeck.
Long pass going to be intercepted.
I mean, Team USA hasn't made a lot of mistakes in the second half like they did in the first. Canadians have made more than their share. Here's an easy opportunity for Greg Wiltshire.
Wiltshire scores on the assist from Phil Ohl. Ohl is 28. Did not play in the first game. Played briefly in yesterday's win over Argentina, but did not score. Ohl out of Victoria, British Columbia.
You see Phil Ohl doing a good job on defense. That's his special. That's what they brought him in for.
Pass to the cutting Drexler. And the foul is called. Chris Manson is called for the foul.
We've seen
it's his fourth.
USA players give some strange looks because, as I said, there have been some different kind of officiating, some cheap calls, and then some very physical play.
Once again, with Phil Ohl fouling, you know, when you're a defensive specialist, sometimes you just get a little bit carried away, but he certainly will give up nothing to anybody. That's his role.
And that is the 8th team foul on Canada in the second half. And again, the international rule, you now go to the bonus, 8th foul and beyond. Clyde Drexler will shoot 1+1.
You know, at least in hockey, if you're defensive specialist, you can hit people. You can't do that in basketball.
That's
a bad job. A very bad job.
Basketball is just like dancing. It's a contact sport, especially at the international level. But as you say, it's so inconsistent as to what they're going to call.
Well, Steve, Phil's probably been watching Dennis Rodman films.
You see right there, there's a hold. And we have seen all kinds of contact.
It's on Chris Mullen.
And now they call Mullen for a hold, a very quick one.
His first foul. One correction, said a moment ago, Chris Manson with 4 fouls. Al has 2 personal fouls. Trevor Williams to Mike Smrek. Pass stolen. Drexler. Surprise Mullen. Turnover USA. Oh, what a pass by Clyde.
It was a little quick. Mullen was there and was looking for something, but just couldn't quite convert. And Mullen, one of the best pair of hands in the NBA.
I think he had the basket scored before he got the ball in his mind.
The right-hand drive by Chris Manson. The rebound, Karl Malone. Scottie Pippen. Clyde Drexler. David Robinson. The lead, 37, 92, 55. We're inside 6 minutes to play. And we'll see Christian Laettner next dead ball.
In the Coliseum, please. The lighting is sufficient enough. The team photographers need to trust us. It's good enough.
Smrek, big block, Karl Malone. But the ball out of bounds before the mailman could get to it. And now we'll see Christian Laettner for the first time, the 6'11" All-American from Duke.
Well, the interior defense of Team USA has gotten better in the second half, and it's tougher for the Canadians to get high percentage shots. They wiped that one away. Christian Laettner gets his first appearance in. 5:33 left in this ball game. John, Canada wanted to improve 10%. Have they done it? And what does this mean? They got a night off. How are they going to play against Panama?
Well, I think that in some aspects they have. Certainly our intensity is the type of game we needed for everybody to get fired up and get involved in the ball game. Offensively, we've done things well. Here we have another...
Foul is on the United States. If it's Karl Malone, he has fouled out of the ball game. It is 5 personal fouls. An international ball disqualifies you, and Karl Malone has just fouled out. The mailman leads with 15 points.
It's giving everybody an opportunity to get in a ball game and come in at a very intense level. Certainly that's one of the aspects we had to improve. We lost that game against Cuba because of lack of intensity, nothing to do with X's and O's. And if we develop our intensity, we can be competitive in this pool.
You'll also be the beneficiary of the fact Panama plays the United States tomorrow night, and Panama has come here with only a 9-man roster.
We felt they had potential to be very competitive.
The basket scored by Martin Keane. It's 92-57 down the lane. Kind of bumped out of midair.
Ohl is not going to be in this game long.
But he will be remembered.
4:45 left to play.
You take a look at the lane, and it's a trapezoid, and what happens is players are trapezoids, trying to get in a little bit early, and you'll see some violations, at least what you think are violations.
It's interesting because the FIBA rule says that you can be no longer than 3 seconds. It's not You can be 3 seconds, but you cannot be longer. Also, if you are making an attempt to shoot the ball, or if you're making an attempt to get out of the key, they're not supposed to call it. And of course, each country official does it a little bit different.
Barkley to Mullen. Runs headlong into Martin Keane. The basket goes in and will count.
The one Canadian fan at this desk throws his hand up. He can't believe the call goes against Team Canada.
You watch it here, Steve. I'll let you call this one. I'm a little bit biased here.
They get the ball inside. Mullen, see, Martin was still moving. He was sliding in.
Drifting left.
I know it hurts you the first time. It even hurts more the second. But they don't get the three-point play.
And that's one of the great things about replays with our Blazer Broadcasting crew, again, as we have for so many seasons. Our telecast being headed up by our executive producer and director, George Wash. Shot on the way, good by Mike Smrick.
It is comeback time for Big Mike.
It is, obviously. I guarantee out of this, we'll see Mike Smrick in somebody's NBA camp. He has played better. He's looked more mobile than he's looked in any of his other seasons. But again, I think it's the fact that he knows he's going to get a lot of playing time with this team. Drexler down the middle.
Little showtime shot came up shy. Rebound Martin Keane. Yes, Steve, but does that turnover out of backcourt? USA ball with 3:54 to play in the game and a lead of 37 points. We go to a timeout at Portland's Memorial Coliseum. I noticed, by the way, during the last timeout, you were talking with Bucky Buckwalter about Mike. And Steve, did Bucky say that he had an invite, including airfare from Southern California?
No. Bucky said he's got other things on his mind for the summer. He's got higher priorities than backup.
Well, there's a matchup that was in England last summer at the World University Games with Christian Laettner and Martin Keane in the gold medal game, which the U.S. won.
And the steal, USA. Charles Barkley, thunder in the night. Oh, and he goes down, inadvertently tripped by Mike Smrick.
Number 13, Mike Smrick, is
third personal foul on Smrick. Let's watch again.
Two breakaway trains right there, and Smrick inadvertently trying to step in front of him, gets Barkley with the leg and throws him off balance. The fall, of course, looks a lot worse than what it was, and Barkley will go to the line.
Barkley was the leading American scorer in Game 1 with 22, and he leads again tonight with 18 points, 6 rebounds.
You'll notice who was on the baseline, Steve, ready for him in case Smrick didn't get him, was Phil Ole. He knows his role. He was ready to take the charge, even though it was Big Charles.
Ole should be playing hockey. I've got a defenseman job for him with Team Canada.
He doesn't know how to handle the stick, though. He can't slash.
I thought all Canadians could play.
99-59.
Well, my brother played in the NHL. I never even played hockey. He's now the vice president of St. Louis Blues, and I've never played a game in my life.
Drexler. Shot by Pride. The century mark is broken. The lead, 42.
Showtime.
Now Drexler, who went out, brought it back, brought the crowd to their feet once again as the USA is pulling away in the final 3 minutes of play.
Clyde Drexler now with 8 points. Martin Keane, rebound, Christian Laettner.
Laettner's done a nice job of being in the middle, getting nice defensive rebounds and pushing the ball quickly from the beginning.
Laettner wanted the ball. Barkley shook him off, fed the ball to the middle, knowing that he'd get it if he stayed. Laettner reacted improperly. The turnover is made. We go to a timeout.
In the second half have been of this variety where the Canadians have gone up, thought they had a good look at the rim. This time it's Mullen making a block from the rear, a sweet pass inside to a wide open Drexler, puts on a little show and brings the crowd to their feet.
.2:15 to play. The United States leading Canada 101-59. United States and Panama tomorrow night will be on the air at 7 o'clock. Update on the shooting. The U.S. now solid at 54%. And we've got a foul inside as Laettner and Keane go at it again head-to-head. Laettner will be called for the foul. It'll be his first. Battle of the boards. USA 45 and 20 rebounds for Canada. The Canadian team has made 20 turnovers and the United States a dozen. Chris Manson with the ball. Trevor Williams. And we'll stay at this end of the floor with a foul called on Charles Barkley. Third personal foul.
Barkley is being a physical presence in a lot of ways out there, and he's laying more than one or two licks on the Canadian players just to give them an idea of what it's like. Nice play by Christian Laettner. That results in a foul.
And there's a call I don't really agree with. In the FIBA international rules, there is a rule that affects all calls. Says there must be an advantage. Really what happens there is you take the advantage away from the offensive team who already has control of the ball. And yes, there was physical contact, but it did not interrupt with the team that had the ball. And I really believe they have to use that advantage rule a little bit more.
And Chris Manson fouls out. So I guess I was right when I said he had 4 fouls. The scoreboard was incorrect, showing 2. But Chris Manson is now gone. We look at the play again.
Solid play by Christian Laettner. He picks up the ball and then trying to outlet it. Chris Manson pushes him in the chest. Certainly it's an obvious call, but as you said, the ball was away. Would have been 2 points anyway, John.
Well, it did not affect the game. It actually took it away from the U.S. of scoring at that time.
Number 7, David Turcotte, back into the ball game for Canada. He has not scored tonight. Drexler thought Mullen would break along the baseline. And again, that's just a matter of players getting together only for a few days and not knowing all of each other's moves quite right.
And they're trying to help each other look good, too, I think, in a situation like that. He thought he was open and just misplayed it.
This is the guy that wasn't able to get into the game for Team Canada. That was Turcotte. He had a real tough time, and they needed his three-point shooting.
Laettner has Drexler on the left. Laettner takes it himself, missed the shot. And the rebound pulled down by Kazanowski. Martin Keene tries a Drexler spin shot, and the ball hit the basket standard. And with 1 minute to play, the U.S. will have the ball at side court, leading by 43. It was 50-33, USA at halftime, and the real explosion came at the start of the second half when the United States made 10 of their first 12 shots, out-rebounded Canada 7-1, and forced 4 Canadian turnovers. Trevor Williams missed the shot, Barkley rebound.
What Barkley did was make Williams go faster than he wanted, so he's out of control.
Mullen missed the 3. Rebound Ole to Turcotte. Turcotte looking for his first point, still can't get it. 0 for 4 tonight. Rebound, Kazanowski draws the foul.
If we had another look at that replay where Trevor Williams was out in the open court, what you'd find out was Barkley was trying to force him to do something that he didn't really want to do. I don't think that Barkley had any intention there. You'll see right there, maybe even yelled at him on the way, but he made him go to the right hand.
102-60. 26 seconds to play. Kaz makes the second, 102-61. And the chant USA begins in the background. Mullen for 3. 105-61. The lead, 44. Steele, Barkley.
Well, they can dribble it out and find out whether they do or not, or whether Christian Laettner ends up with one more score.
The game is over. The United States has won its second game of the basketball tournament in the Americas. Our final score, USA 105, Team Canada 61.
Was an easy chance for Magic Johnson, and with that he brought the crowd to his feet and exited shortly after that. Did not return to the ball game, but Scottie Pippen, Chris Mullen, and Clyde Drexler continued the onslaught. Drexler with his first 2, and he got involved. You see the leading scorer, the hero of the day, Mike Smerrick. He was outstanding, and again, he's been outstanding in the ball games he's played here. Now Chris Manson with 11, and J.D. Jackson with 10.
For the United States, Charles Barkley. And the opening tap going to Panama. A team has a chance to get a lead against the United States. This is Eddie Chavez, born in Brooklyn. Played at Santa Clara, briefly in the CBA. Mario Jackson. His shot is off the mark.
Let's see if Team USA comes out running and looking for high percentage stuff. They had a good shot for Patrick Ewing. They couldn't cash. But what they try to do against every opponent is pressure the ball and then get a shot from the perimeter, run back the other way, and get an easy opportunity.
One thing I've noticed about Chavez, he does not lack for confidence. He's a cocky player. Doesn't score very much, but is confident with the ball. He takes a three-pointer and scores. And for the first time in the tournament, a team leads against Team USA, 3-0 Panama.
Well, this is the third game and the third different starting lineup. As you can see, Pippen and Drexler are starters for the first time. Magic has started every ball game. Barkley is starting his second.
Patrick Ewing. 3-2. Panama's lead is 1. After winning the opening game by 79, some were surprised, and it seemed for a while almost a little disappointed last night. The U.S. went on to explode and win by 44. One element they might have missed, besides the lack of adrenaline from Game 1, they didn't have two great passers on the floor, Larry Bird and John Stockton.
They missed some shots early, and that hurt them if everybody's looking for every game to be a 79-point effort. This game here should have some of the earmarks of the Cuban game in the sense that it's a small team. It's not nearly as quick. It doesn't shoot the ball as well. Their best scorer is number 15. He's a bull inside, and that's Mario Butler. Ewing's having trouble. This would be a night when Patrick Ewing can regain his shooting touch.
I liken Mario Butler to kind of the Rick Mahorn of this tournament. He's a very aggressive physical player, built along the lines a little bit of Charles Oakley. The ball goes down to Mario Butler. His shot partially checked. Follow won't go. Tap in by Mario Jackson. And it's Panama 5 and the United States 2. Over 2 minutes gone in the first half. Clyde Drexler. Three-point try. We are tied at 5. Clyde had 20 points in Game 1. He had 8 points last night.
You can see right now the defensive pressure isn't nearly the same at the top of this game as it was against Canada or Cuba. They're allowing the Panamanian team to do a little bit more. Butler scores.
And it's 7-5 Panama. Patrick Ewing. We're tied at 7. Eddie Chavez and Mario Jackson, the starting backcourt for Panama. We've mentioned Mario Butler and Stuart Gray along the front line. Their other starting forward is Rolando Frazier. He and Butler, Steve, both 34, both were born on the same day. Both went to Briarcliff College in Iowa.
Well, normally in games, we talk about tempo and controlling certain things, but nobody's going to be able to control the tempo against Team USA.
And the United States takes the lead at 9-7. Game story on your screen. And Team USA may never look back.
There's a moving screen as Mario Butler just continued to extend his body on out into Clyde Drexler. Got called for the foul.
And that's our first foul of the ball game. Again, one of the international rules, an offensive foul does count as a team foul. You begin shooting the 1-on-1 bonus on the 8th foul. And missed connections between Magic and Clyde. There you see the coach on the left of the Panama team. That's Jim Barron. He's coached their national team for 10 years. Served for 6 years as an assistant to Digger Phelps at Notre Dame. Chavez, three-point try. Well, he scored 6 and 5 in the first 2 games, and he has 6 already. Panama leads 10-9.
Well, let's find out the next time down how Magic Johnson approaches him at the defensive end. Right now, he's allowing Chavez to do whatever he wants.
Barkley. We have a foul inside. We go to our first timeout. Just over 4 minutes gone. Panama, a surprising early lead by 1.
Involved in these Olympics.
Clyde Drexler, three-point try, no good. Offensive rebound, Patrick Ewing. Just over 4 minutes gone first half. Panama leading the United States 10-9. Kick ball, they'll reset the shot clock at 30.
To protect Mario Butler, they've dropped back into a zone. We'll see how long they stay in it and how Team USA comes back to exploit it. Butler has 2 personal fouls. He's their best scorer, most physical player. Ewing.
Stuart Gray concedes the basket as Ewing was not going to be stopped. 11-10, U.S. on top.
You see Magic Johnson now in a more aggressive posture.
Clive just missed the steal. Mario Jackson. Magic pressuring Chavez.
Well, see, Chavez was allowed to do what he wanted, knock down a couple of three-point field goals, and now they've come back with a real aggressive defensive effort.
Stuart Gray has had 13 points in each of Panama's first 2 games, had 13 rebounds last night. Panama by 1. Magic, Scottie Pippen. Drexler down the lane and scores. 13-12, U.S. by 1.